So this is what the love triangle looks like. On one end you have the man or the husband, on the other end you have the woman. And if both those individuals are going after the author of love, the source of love, who's God himself, because the scriptures say, the Bible says that God is love, right? He is love. And so if we are going after him, if we are pursuing him, if we are receiving downloads, daily downloads of love from him, instead of trying to pull it from the person beside us or from other people around us, if instead of trying to pull it, pull or draw it from relationships around us, if you're going to him, the ultimate source, if you're going to him who has endless supply of love and acceptance and grace, if you're going to him, then guess what? If both of us are going to him, we're going to inevitably draw closer to each other. If you are both going after him, if both man and woman, husband and wife, are chasing after him, inevitably we will draw closer to each other. And so I sometimes speak to friends, and we address this in some conversations, that maybe sometimes the frictions that we see in our relationships or in our marriages or even our friendships could be because both the individuals are not chasing after the author and the source of love and compassion and grace. And so this is huge. This is huge. This is huge. And this made all the difference for Manish and I. And I love this quote. Everywhere you look, you see people searching for love. Everywhere you look. But they are looking in the wrong places. God is love, and they will never find what they're looking for until they find him. They will never find what they're looking for until they find him. We should not make the mistake of thinking that marriage will provide the ultimate satisfaction for which we all hunger. I love this. This was a huge lesson for Manisha and I. And we keep learning this over and over again, every now and then, every anniversary. We recognize that we don't stand a chance without the love of God, right? We should not make the mistake of thinking that marriage will provide the ultimate satisfaction for which we all hunger. Only God satisfies the hungry heart. Only God. Marriage is but one of the channels he uses to enable us to taste how deeply satisfying his thirst quenching grace can be. I love this quote, and it's powerful. This quote probably defines everything about what Manish and I, how Manish and I go about doing marriage, because we recognize that he is our source. And trust me, believe me, I'll be the first to admit it, that whenever I've fallen out from that, whenever I've tried to replace source, we've had issues, and we've had to remind each other, wait a minute, you go to your source. Let's all go to the source and get the download that we need, and then let's come back and have a conversation and iron things out, right? So that's a huge key that I would like to present to you and propose to you as well. And I love this as well. Here's a spiritual principle: we cannot exercise love unless we have experienced grace, unless we are experiencing grace. You cannot truly love others unless you're convinced that God's love for you is unconditional, not based on your performance. Our love, either to God or to others, can only be a response to his love for us. Our love, either to God or to others, can only be a response to his love. So here's the million-dollar question. What mindset do you have? What mindset do I have? What mindset are we cultivating? Do we have a law mindset, or do we have a grace mindset? Big difference between the two. Big difference between the two. And it doesn't matter which worldview you actually subscribe to, because I've even noticed that even in the church circles, in the Christian circle as well, I've seen this as well, that at the end of the day, if you are a legalist, or if you are more aware of the law as opposed to grace, you will bring that into your relationships as well. One of the challenges that I've experienced is that even in our working environments, it is a performance mindset. You have something called IPR, right, which is an individual performance review. And so it's all about performance. And as you go through school, you're trained from the time you're a child that it's all about performance. You perform, you're rewarded. You don't perform, you face the consequences, or you lose relationships and friendships. So who's the most popular person in the school? Who's the most popular person in class? The person who's excelling at academics or at sports. So from the time you're children, we are conditioned and programmed in this whole way that at the end of the day, it's all about your performance. You perform for love. You perform for acceptance. You perform for applause. So we move from school, we come into college, same story, and from university, then we go into the workplace, same story right there. You're performing all the way through. We are being trained to perform, programmed to perform. And so then it's very hard and difficult, but absolutely critical and necessary for us to trade that performance mindset, that law mindset, for something that I call the grace mindset. So the million-dollar question for us: are we performing for love, or are we working from a place of love? One of the most life-changing experiences that I had, and I keep sharing this with my friends all the time, was I remember I'd failed a couple of subjects in school, and I was expecting some major punishment when I came home, because that's what I had gone through earlier. If I got 70 out of 100, it was as good as I had failed. That was the reception I got at home. And this was bad, because not only did I didn't get anything close to 70 out of 100, I had failed miserably, because of the pressure of performing was so heavy and so high that I completely collapsed under that pressure, and I failed in 3 subjects. And this is in a senior year in school. And I thought, that's it, game over, you know. And I remember I locked myself in the room, and I just switched off all the lights, and I was in pitch darkness. My father came and opened the door, and I thought, okay, here comes the belt. I'm going to get a whooping. And he says, come, let's go. And he takes me, and he takes the entire family out. My mother's so angry, she's not even making eye contact with me. She's so furious. But she takes, my dad takes me, my mother, my sister, all of us, for a lavish dinner. We go to see a movie in the theater, and he is doing everything that he would do as if I had scored the best marks, right? And I'm in my mind thinking, when's the belt coming? When's the belt coming? The belt must be around the corner. I was struggling in all of this, right? I'm not even being able to enjoy the movie properly, because I'm like, what's going on? This is weird, right? And he didn't say a word, you know. So he took us for the dinner. We came back home. As we were walking home from the car, I just held his hand and I said, Dad, I'm sorry. Daddy, I'm sorry. And I can't begin to describe to you the look that he gave me. It was the look that Jesus gave Peter after Peter, you know, denied him 3 times. It was that look that I cannot even begin to describe. And that look from my dad completely wrecked me. There was a smile, but there was like sadness in his eyes, and his look completely wrecked me. Needless to mention, from that point on, I worked like crazy. And 3 months on in the exams that came after that, I scored my lowest mark was 88 out of 100. So the same subjects where I had failed were the same subjects where I excelled, and I got in the late 80s, 88, 90s, and so on, out of 100. To the extent that teachers in school were shocked. Like, how did you go from here to here? In fact, teachers would openly joke and make fun of me and mock me. I want to propose to you that I remind my dad about this incident, and when I remind him, he can't remember. He's like, really, did I do that? Did I really take you guys to a movie and for a dinner? I said, yes, Dad, you're forgetting. You did that. And what you did that day was you were demonstrating grace. You were demonstrating grace to us. And that's the same grace that God demonstrates to us through Jesus. And so that was a great memory that I was able to share with my dad. And that story kind of helped him in his journey to faith. But the point I'm trying to make is that's how God deals with us, right? He is merciful. He's full of grace. And so I would like to propose that even that the excelling or the grades that I was able to deliver was not from a place of fear, because up to that point, I was terrified about the consequences. What will happen if I get poor grades? But that day, when my dad just lavished everything upon me, treating me as if I was a topper in the class, a topper in the school, it completely shifted something in me. No longer was I performing, no longer was I studying hard to have his acceptance and his love. Now I was studying hard because I had his love. I was not performing for love. I was already working from a place, I was working hard and studying hard from a place of love. I hope that makes sense.